Momentarily. There we are. Welcome to another edition of Prep Huddle Live on StriveSports.com. The weather has affected more than just the roads outside. It has affected seemingly everything about the show tonight. My name is Eric Allgood. We've got Tony Chapman in Grand Island on the phone line here this evening. We've got a big show, though, lined up as obviously the weather outside has become a little bit frightful for some, especially the farther west in Nebraska you went. And if you went far enough east in Nebraska, you were in a tornado watch at one point this afternoon. So just an interesting kind of weather day outside, so that's why we've stayed inside for Prep Huddle Live. The football playoff brackets are out, and obviously we're into the semifinals for both 11-man and 8-man coming up at the end of this week and beginning of next week. State volleyball begins coming up tomorrow afternoon in Lincoln, and we will talk in earnest with Berk Brown of NebraskaPrepVolleyball.com. But first, I want to get Tony Chapman here from Grand Island. And Tony, we don't get to see your beautiful face this week. We've got some issues going, but thanks for joining us anyway with the audio that we can.
Ratings will be through the roof for this one, Eric, since you don't have to see me.
Well, we do what we can. Let's talk about what's coming up on the show. We mentioned Berk, but we've got a good lineup, I think, overall, even without Berk, and with Berk as well.
Yeah, we'll have Jeff Gross on the show, the McCook coach. He's been fairly successful out there. Hasn't he? They'll play Aurora on Friday night in a game that's in McCook in the Class B semifinals for a chance to go to Lincoln. So we'll talk to Jeff, get his thoughts. I know you talked to Coach Peterson earlier today. We'll have him on the Friday night spotlight for that game as well. And then I had a chance to head up to Grand Island Northwest today to talk to Diane Rouzee, the Vikings, making their 15th consecutive trip to the Class B state volleyball tournament tomorrow.
We always love interacting on the show. It is the Dickey's Barbecue in your social media feed. Don't forget to use the hashtag PrepHuddleLive, and you can just on the widget right below on the bottom of your screen there, and your comments show up there. And if you got a question, well, we'll try to get to it as best we can by the end of the show. We mentioned the show, and obviously our first guest here to bring in is Berk Brown with NebraskaPrepVolleyball.com. And Berk, we've got some things to talk about that we are going to have on Strive, that you're going to have on NebraskaPrepVolleyball.com. But I've got to ask, every week it seems like we get ready for the show, and sometime late afternoon, Berk comes up with some tweet that is seemingly of big magnitude, and now we're throwing out actual money at this thing. Berk, explain the tweet that we saw from Nebraska Prep Volleyball earlier this afternoon, if we could.
Well, I think it's something that we kind of touched on a little bit, maybe midway through the season or at some point this year. And with this weather and just hanging out inside, it provided me with a dangerous opportunity to just sit and think for a while. And, we talked about at Pinnacle Bank Arena that they run two courts at the same time, and how one of the big intriguing things for me was whether or not somebody was ever going to be able to bounce a ball over that dividing net. Now, I mean, it doesn't go all the way up. It is pretty tall. And I'm just a fool for stupid little stuff like that, right? I mean, that's the stuff I enjoy watching. And so certainly we want to protect the integrity of everyone's amateur status. But we also want to promote, hey, let's see if somebody can knock one over that sucker, because I think there's some kids out there. So the first player, if it's this year, if it's next year, whatever, but I think we can get it done this year. First player to knock a ball off the floor or an opponent's face or head or arm and clear the curtain on the fly, $500 donation by Nebraska Prep Volleyball to the charity of choice of that athlete. So,
wow.
Plus, I mean, that player will live on in infamy. I mean, I don't want to, do anything again to jeopardize their amateur status, but I mean, we're talking 5-10 years from now, they could still be glorified and possibly rewarded at that point. So I'm excited to see if somebody can actually do that. That's exciting for me.
That is a challenge issue like I don't think I've ever heard of. 500, and this, we're not talking about punting a football off the big screen at AT&T Stadium there in Dallas where the Cowboys play. We just got to clear the debt. And I guess I looked at your picture and thought, well, I could clear it with a sand wedge maybe. I don't know if I could ever get a volleyball over it, but there are far better athletes than me that are playing in this state tournament. So we will watch that very closely. I think is with if anyone can clear the net on the fly, then that's the only caveat, right? You just can't throw it. It's got to be in regular play. Yes. Right.
It's got to be during the match play. It can't be one of those that hits the floor and then somebody does one of those allays and helps kind of push it up and over the net. But hey, a really hard attack with the right angle off of defender's arms could clear it. I guess it's kind of like hitting 100 miles an hour on the radar gun or things like that. It's let's see if anybody can get it done. It would be fun to watch and see happen.
That would be rather interesting, I think. With Berk and Tony and I, we've got a huge podcast that is actually out tonight as part of our state volleyball preview on strivesports.com. And if you are coming to us, coming to watch this show live, and you did it from Strive Sports, you probably saw the post elsewhere on this page. If not, check your social media feeds. We've probably got it shared out there. But Berk and Tony and I did a huge podcast that breaks down all of the classes, players to watch, good coaching matchups, lots of great stuff. We did that earlier today. Had a blast doing it, and so we invite you to check out the previews. Tony also did a lot of work on the capsules of the Strive schools that are in the state volleyball tournament, and another feature yet coming up tomorrow morning on Aurora. So state volleyball is we're going gung-ho with this over the next couple days, but we want to get some things out from Berk that we want to kind of do in somewhat of a rapid-fire segment, and perhaps we've already blown past our time allotment if we were going to do anything fast here tonight. But in any event, Tony and I, we can kind of go back and forth and pick Berk's brain here a little bit. So, Berk, if you're heading to Lincoln tomorrow, I want to get your thoughts on the 3 best games to watch in the first round in any class.
Wow. Okay. Well, that is a good one. In fact, I could maybe even do it sequentially here. I think if I was doing it and I could just pick out any 3 to watch, well, I can't. It wouldn't work in a perfect world. But I think the first one I would be at Lincoln East at 3:30 tomorrow to watch Suhr against Hampton. In Class D2, that is going to be an incredible battle. I mean, at least on paper, you've got Suhr, who's been to the last 2 state finals in Class D2, a senior-dominated team that's going to be highly, highly motivated to not only get back to the state finals, but to bring home a championship. And in Hampton, you got, I think, the team in Class D2 that's probably playing better than anybody else right now in Hampton. So that's got a chance to be a colossal match. And then I think, too, the Ogallala-Columbus SCOTUS match is a 7:30 match at North Star. That's got a chance to be a very special match as well. 2 of the most successful programs in the history of the state going at it. Just a great 4-5 matchup. And then the other 4 or 5 match, it seems like that's what they all are, but that's 7:30 at Lincoln Southwest. Hastings, St. Cecilia, and Sutton. Those 3 matches, each one of them has a chance to be just an absolutely epic match with great players, great coaches. They would all be phenomenal matches to watch. It's actually a shame that you can't do that. They're at different locations because they're all 3 going to be great.
Good stuff. All right, Berk, here's my next one. 3 players you should drop everything to watch at the tournament this weekend.
Wow. It's I'm going to go completely shameless self-promotion here because I just posted on my website about 20 minutes ago an article about two of the kids that I think will go down as two of the best to ever play in volleyball in the state of Nebraska. And I mean, not certainly not the best, but in that elite group of players. One of them is Brittany Witt, the senior libero at Omaha Marion. She's been a starter for them since she was a freshman. She's the only player in Nebraska high school history with more than 2,000 digs in her career. And to put it in perspective, she's going to finish with somewhere between 24 and 2,500. Nobody else has ever even had 2,000. She's going to own every defensive record there is. And you know what? Great kid. And Creighton is getting a good one. The next one, Reagan LeGrand. She's an outside hitter at Papio South. She actually was a starting libero as a freshman on that Papio South team in 2012 with the Rolfson twins, Kelly Hunter, and she actually had the moxie to be able to step on the court with that group of kids as a freshman. But then is so athletic and powerful. She's averaged about 425 kills a year as transitioning to an outside hitter. And now she's going to go to USC. I believe they're ranked maybe number 2 in the nation right now. She'll go to USC on full ride scholarship, which is unheard of for a libero. So you're talking one of the best outside hitters in the state. So she's going to college as a libero, just a phenomenal athlete. And then if I get to pick a number 3, you know what? This kid has just got an incredibly special quality about her. I've had one college coach say she is a program changer, and that's Olivia Nicholson at North Platte. She's their 6'1" middle who is going out to Colorado State. She's played for Team USA in some of the youth levels. She is just a dominant force at the net and perhaps one of the smartest players I've ever seen play. She sees the court better than any middle I've seen in a long, long time.
Some good stuff there, Berk. Let me ask you this. Team seeded 5th or lower that could make some upsets on their way to a Saturday finals match.
Well, you know, I definitely think it's C1. I think the best shot for a Cinderella is probably Bishop Neumann, a 7 seed in C1. I mean, they got a really tough task with Shadron, and then they'd have to get past either Ord or GICC. But Neumann is so young, you know, I almost get the feeling that maybe they don't even realize how big this situation is. They rely on so many freshmen and sophomores that they're a team that could come out of C1 and possibly play for a championship as a 7 seed. I think you'd also have to look at Hastings St. Cecilia as a 5 seed in C2. They're playing probably as well as anybody in C2. They've got Lucy Scotch as a dominant middle. They've got Will Sheehy, a great outside. And Shanda Farmer, I think, is one of the best liberos that you've never heard of at Hastings St. Cecilia. So I think those two, and I'd also go with Johnson Brock. I think Johnson Brock is a real title contender as a 5 seed in D1.
Awesome. Okay, Berk, here, next one is the class you think that is maybe the most wide open, or you would say maybe it has 4 or even 5 teams that you would give a shot to win the championship come Saturday.
You know, as far as most wide open, I would say Class D1, because I think you've got a top seed in Emerson Hubbard, who clearly has the talent and ability, and they've got a player in Kylie Belt who can put a team on her shoulders and carry them to a state title. That 4-5 matchup between Howells Dodge and Johnson Brock, I think both those teams, I wouldn't be shocked if either of them won the state title. Your 2 seed is Bertrand in there, and they 27-2. They've been dominant all year. But then you got Diller Odell's 3 seed that probably has the most athletic team, probably the best player in Class D1 or D2, one of the best in the state, Madison Jurgens. So I think D1, there's legitimately 5 teams that can go to sleep tonight thinking that they have a real good shot at being a state champion in 72 hours.
And Berk, we can't say thank you enough for you coming on our show here most every Wednesday throughout this fall season, and the podcast, of course, that's the big state volleyball preview. But obviously you run a very successful website yourself, NebraskaPrepVolleyball.com. For those that really want to get even more in-depth than what we have on this show and even in the podcast, what are some subscribers and viewers of your site going to expect for coverage this weekend?
You know, everything that I can squeeze out of a 24-hour day. It will be, you know, we will have constant updates on every match that's going on. I mean, it will have the not real-time, but close to real-time updates on the stat leaders in each class. It will have all tournament teams. It will have photos and the audio files of interviews with coaches and players after each match. So basically, I'm a sports and volleyball nerd, so anything that I think sounds awesome or would be really cool to read about or have, that's going to be what's on there. So I'm not planning on sleeping anymore until Sunday, so we'll put as much on there as we possibly can because, frankly, I think the more recognition and the more stuff that gets put out there for these kids, for these teams, for the schools is absolutely phenomenal.
Berk, again, Berk Brown, NebraskaPrepVolleyball.com. Check it out. At the very least, you got to follow on Twitter to keep up with all that stuff and then all the great links. Berk, thanks so much, and we look forward to Lincoln this weekend, man.
Sounds great. Thanks for having me, guys. Take care.
All right. Tony, it's time to revisit. Actually, we could go, in theory, a couple weeks back, but we kind of wanted to go, well, what are we going to do with Strive Stars for this week? And normally we'd say who shined brightest at this point, but there's been so many good performances, whether it was important points scored in district or sub-state volleyball or big plays on the football field. We've put together a few that we think are some of the better ones that we've seen, but it's less Strive Stars, and it's just more like shining stars this week.
Yeah, it really is. We had some great performances, and we'll try to highlight a few of them, and even a couple non-Strive people we wanted to put in there. So last night we wanted to recognize Riley Techmeyer and Kale Kleinschmidt from BDS, but more importantly, their defense. BDS takes down top-ranked Guardian Angels Central Catholic in a quarterfinal game between teams ranked first and second in Class D1. GACC, get this, they averaged 75 points in their two playoff games. Before this one, they had only been held under 40 points one time this season, and they scored 16 last night against that BDS defense. And you've seen it kind of in the papers the last couple games for BDS that their coaches say that these kids would rather play defense than play offense, and that's kind of rare at this day and age. And then you take the duo of Techmeyer and Kleinschmidt in the backfield, where they're kind of doing an 8-man version of the single wing almost, it seems like. So they combined for 186 yards rushing in that victory. Will we play the audio for that Creighton video?
We'll play the audio and the videos a little bit later on, actually. But go ahead and mention the Creighton Bulldogs from last night.
Sure. They played High Plains in Clarks. Creighton also undefeated. Last night they got 8 touchdowns combined from Brook Baller. If that's not a good football name, I don't know what is. And Lane Walton. Brook had 302 yards on 25 carries for his 4 touchdowns. Lane, playing fullback, had 4 touchdowns with 66 yards on 18 carries. They beat High Plains 72-32. And, you know, you really feel bad for those High Plains kids. They're down to their third quarterback, basically. They played Tyler Van Housen at quarterback after Tyson Fate got hurt and Thomas Young was already injured. And High Plains is going to see this season end with losses to Creighton and BDS and Guardian Angels Central Catholic, a very successful 8-3 season there. And then in Shickley on Monday afternoon at 3, it will be undefeated BDS and undefeated Creighton for a trip to the Class D1 finals. That should be a fantastic football game. And then I want to recognize a non-striver, but Omaha North's Jordan Strong. If you could imagine, he's a younger brother of Calvin Strong, who everybody knows from last year. They entered the playoffs 4-5. 4 of those losses were to the teams that finished the season ranked 1, 2, 3, and 4 by the Omaha World Herald. But in wins against Grand Island and Omaha Westside in the playoffs, Jordan Strong has 80 carries for 617 yards. And on Friday night, it'll be a rematch of that 21-19 Classic that was on Strive on the first Thursday of the football season. They will play Millard West, who's undefeated and top-ranked in Class A, for a spot in the Class A finals. And then just quickly to volleyball, I wanted to recognize Macy Stewart and Emmy Noyd from Shelby Rising City. The Huskies upset Tualaw Stanton last Thursday. They advanced to the Class C2 state tournament and will play Freeman tomorrow at 1:30. But Macy and Emmy combined for 33 kills as Shelby Rising City came back from 2-0 down to beat Stanton 20-25, 14-25, 25-20, 25-23, and 15-12 in 5 sets there to advance to the state tournament in Lincoln. I believe this will be just the second time that they've been to state as a consolidated school for the Huskies. So good job by them. 4 Crossroads Conference schools are into the state tournament this week. And then just quickly, we wanted to recognize, as we kind of have tweeted today, and we've tried to make known that we'll be helping the NFHS Network and NSA.TV with all of the streaming for the semifinals of football and volleyball Friday. And then on Monday, in the 8-man semifinals, we'll stream those games as well on the NSA Network. But 2 guys we're looking forward to seeing on Monday, Chambers Wheeler Senator quarterback Brendan Pelster. He had 265 yards and 7 touchdowns in a win against Anselmo Myrna, rushing and passing. And then Burwell quarterback Victory Sykes. Yes, I think his parents did a good job. He had 9 total touchdowns as Burwell avenged an early season loss to Amherst. He had 422 total yards with his 9 TDs. So it'll be a fun next 5 days, Eric. And much like Berk, we will sleep when it's over.
We will sleep over Thanksgiving break is when we will be sleeping next. Yes, Victory Sykes, by the way, best name in the state playoffs, and I don't have to look at any other rosters. Stay tuned, though. Coming up, we're going to have a visit with Northwest volleyball coach Diane Rouzee and McCook football head coach Jeff Gross. That's coming up on Prep Huddle Live on StriveSports.com.
I never really imagined that I would be a diesel technician. I started out in a whole different other field and then kind of worked my way and stumbled my way into it, and I enjoy every day of it.
The people that I work with are great. Even if you're having a bad day, you know, they find some way to try to make you laugh or smile to try to brighten your day up. It'll be a life-changing opportunity. So there's a lot of good things that this company has to offer.
Yeah, I get it. For the little things. Technology's great. It makes things easier. It's faster. We can get things done wherever we go. And we get all that from our bank. It works for us. But for the bigger things, the things that really count, I still want to talk to the people I know and trust. That's why I'm here.
Home-cooked favorites and online ordering so you can skip the line. That's what you'll find at Dickey's Barbecue in York. Log on to Dickeys.com, select the York address, sign in, or create a profile, and you'll be ordering delicious barbecue in just seconds. Choose from a variety of meats like brisket, pulled pork, chicken breast, or sausage. Add a home-style side like waffle iron fries, fried onion tanglers, barbecue beans, and even fried okra. You won't go away hungry. Try Dickey's Barbecue today and log on to Dickeys.com. Kids eat free on Sundays. Seedsmanship is what truly sets Channel Seed apart from other seed brands. It's our unmatched ability to provide you with the expert advice and customized service that helps you get the most yield out of your acres. It's the added value of year-round service combined with elite seed products that you only get from Channel Seed. At Channel, we know the importance of staying connected. As seed experts, we look to get the most out of your fields by putting ourselves in them throughout the season. That's seedsmanship at work. Welcome back to Prep Huddle Live. All total, we have 12 Strive schools playing in Lincoln beginning tomorrow for the state volleyball tournament. One of those teams is Grand Island Northwest. They're back at it, ho-hum, at the state tournament again. Earlier today, Tony had a chance to sit down with their head coach, Diane Rouzee.
Okay, Tony Chapman from StriveSports.com here on Prep Huddle Live with Northwest volleyball coach Diane Rouzee. Coach, 15th year in a row, you get to go to the state volleyball tournament. Does it ever get old?
It never, ever gets old. It's a different group every year, and it's almost a relief that we qualify because expectations are so high at our school, and I'm just sure proud of the kids. I mean, and you've done that many years in a row. They have to buy into what you're trying to do, and they have to start early, and it's feeding into the program every year. But this has been a great group to work with. They've been a lot of fun, so I'm really proud of them.
You talked about this group early in the year. You got a great group of seniors. Can you just talk about what they've given you? And they all do different things, don't they? Just talk about this group and what they've met.
They've each brought something to the team with their skills, their personality, their leadership. It's been a fun road for them just because I've known a couple of them since they were little girls. They're family friends of mine, and to think that they're like going to be graduating and going on, but what they've done for our program, even just recently in the last couple of years. So it's been even an individual road, cool to see the progress and the journey for each one of them, but their personalities and their passion and their competitiveness, they've led their team. They took the team on their back. They smooth a lot of things over, I know, in the locker room. They raise the level. They ask a lot of their teammates, but I think the biggest thing is they got the kids to play for each other and have fun and show some passion, and it's just really good team chemistry, and I think it's a lot due to them.
What happens when you've gone to state for 15 years in a row? You probably have some traditions or some fun things that you look forward to from district time up until before the state tournament hits. What are some fun things you guys have done in the last, say, week?
Well, we've done we always have this theme, and we build around our theme. So last couple weeks ago, we went and served meals at the Salvation Army, and that was really a good thing for our kids to have gratitude and to feel fortunate for what they have. And they want to go back. They think it was so cool, and they want to do things for other kids. So that speaks to the kids' character and how they were raised. But we usually do go into Valentino's, and we eat as a team. I do a little news flash thing that I make up some fun names for them, and we usually have most of it's centered around food. We have cookies and ice cream and things like that. But we do some special little drills, and we call them different names and things like that just to kind of get ready. And they have a goodie bag made up for them so that they get to have some snacks during the state tournament, and we got a lot of fun things kind of planned even in the next couple of days. So it's a good time, no doubt.
Let's get back to your players. I know you generally you talked about the seniors a little bit. Let's specifically talk about what each of them do for your team. First off, I guess maybe in the back, Kayla Bockel playing defense for you. She's probably one of the top maybe 5 liberos in the state. Can you speak to what she does for your team and how she kind of holds you together?
Yeah, she is lightning fast. She is so fun. I just like to stand and watch her do the ladder in the summer weight program because she's so fast. She's a state champion trackster, and she's an outstanding libero. Has been awesome for us. She'll make some digs that I just think, okay, you can't do any better than that. And then she gets another one, and it's amazing. I just like to watch her. She's a really, really good kid, very humble, but faster than I'll get out. And she's really been a big plus for us to dig so many balls. And she quietly by example is how she leads. And Kayla hasn't always been our libero. She just kind of became our libero a couple years ago, and I kind of said that shows you how much I know about coaching, I guess. But we had her outside hitter, and we kind of had a spot where we had an injury, and I said, would you like to try it? And she's like, yeah, I'll try it. And then it was like, she's doing really good. She's really doing good. And she blossomed. She took it on last year, but she blossomed this year. She took it on, and she ran with it this year. So,
Allie Carlini, an attacker for you. Her sisters have played in the program, and the family's kind of been in the program. So she brings real nice balance to you and plays all the way around, I think. And can you just speak to her and kind of what she's done?
Allie is a very talented young lady, and not in just volleyball, but she is in our one-act play. She's president of this and vice president of this and president of this, and very, very good in music. But her volleyball game has just kept improving every year, and she's plays all the way around, so that tells you that she's got some awesome skills. She's her serving has really been a lot better this year, but she'll do whatever she needs to do for the team. She is really she's kind of our mom, and she makes me a better person, and she just says some really cool things and has some good insights, and just she's been willing to do whatever. We moved her around and we had her do this, and she's is a very, very good volleyball player, and her skills and her hitting and her digging, and she's got probably one of a textbook digging technique. So I really like what she's done for our team, and she's brought that neat side to us outside from like trying to balance everything and show how important it is. And for her to be living away from her parents for a while, it has been a tough thing, but she's made it work, so I'm really proud of her.
Bailey Parr, you're 6'2", one of your setters, and in watched you guys just a few times this year, but it seems like you guys really are aggressive. She's an aggressive server, and you guys usually have some good service runs when she's back there serving. Can you talk about what she brings to the table for your offense?
Bailey is one of my neatest stories, I think, because we kind of butted heads a little bit when she was younger because I wanted her to set more. Set more. Are you setting? Are you setting? And she'd say no, and so she has gotten better every year, and this year I'm amazed. I think she can play college volleyball, and she's one of our best defensive setters I think I've ever had at Northwest. And her leadership, she is very vocal, and you'll hear her voice on the bench, on the court. Her serving, we played around with that. Her serving has been a weapon, so she's our first server. She is our big vocal leader captain, and she has improved every year, and so I'm very, very proud of her. She's come a long ways, and she kind of took the team on her back and just said, day after state last year, she had a countdown going on her phone how many days it was until this year. So she's, texts me all the time, and I just love that about it. It's been fun, a really fun thing to see how well she's played this year.
Taylor Hovey comes in and plays front row for you, and she's a unique. She gets the lefty, which you probably don't get very often. But I thought in Aurora, especially, there were a couple times she got a couple big kills. I know at the end of the game she got a couple of big ones. What has she done for your front row to kind of keep your attack going there when she's in?
Taylor is another interesting story, just because we had planned for her to play this position last year, and then she blew her knee bad at league in the summer, and so she missed her entire junior year, and she was rehabbing, and I kind of wondered if she's even going to play, because I never saw her in the weight room or this summer working out, and I know she's going to physical therapy, and so I was really nervous. Are you going to play? Are you going to be ready? And I didn't know she'd be ready, and so this summer she was still trying to get in shape and figure things out, and it was come on, and we didn't know what we were going to do, so we were kind of trading her back and forth with another player, and then she just kept getting in better shape, better reps, and now she's kind of back to where she was, and so I'm really excited for her. Being left-handed is a definite advantage, and I'm left-handed, so I like to that because she's able to do some things that are different and other teams can't work against as much. She hits the ball. She's got a nice set of hands. I mean, she's like, if you try to hit at her setters all the time like a lot of teams do, she can set the ball just as good to our hitters, and we can attack. So she has brought a really good and important, a lot more vocal this year, and we're proud of her for what she's been through, and to rehab to play her senior year has been a cool thing for her.
Tomorrow you get to start the thing off. So Omaha Gross, a team you didn't play, but I know was at the Beatrice Invitational, which you guys won early in the season. What can you tell us about the Cougars and the things that they'll bring that will be difficult for you guys to defend?
We have a little history with Gross. They have had in the past had a pretty strong team and some hitters that like swing for the fence. They usually like to get after it and swing as hard as they can. And they'll be solid defensively. They're not going to let a lot of balls drop. They're going to have to win the long rallies. They have some very aggressive servers. And so I think we're in for a tough first-round game. I hope that our kids are ready. We did not see them, so I've been watching a lot of tape, but I know our kids are ready. I know they'll be prepared.
That's Coach Diane Rouzee on Prep Huddle Live. The Vikings in the state tournament for the 15th year in a row. They'll play Omaha Gross tomorrow at 1:30 at Pinnacle Bank Arena. Thanks for being on with us, Coach.
Thank you very much.
And again, a big thank you to Grand Island Northwest coach Diane Rouzee for sitting down with Tony earlier today. We can now turn our attention back to the 8-man playoffs. Of course, quarterfinal action was last night in Clark's. Creighton remained unbeaten with their win over High Plains, 72-32. After the game, I had a chance to catch up with head coach Suhr and as well as Brooke Baller and Brandon Borgmann. Check it out. We've got Coach Suhr here with the Creighton Bulldogs. Coach, obviously a big win tonight, 72-32. Got to be very happy with the way the guys played, really from the start. Outside of that opening kickoff, or one of the early kickoffs that High Plains runs back, you guys were very dominant on the lines, it seemed.
I think I felt really good about what we were doing. We gave up the big play right off the bat on the first play of the game. That was kind of difficult for us, but offensively we moved the ball. I think in the first half, I think we stopped ourselves with 2 turnovers. Other than that, we scored every time we had the ball. Defensively, they present a lot of problems to you with their offense, and I thought we adjusted to a lot of different things because we're not used to playing a team that has that style with all the different motion and the formation. So it was a little different, but I thought our kids reacted really well and did a good job.
Your backs ran really hard. We talked to Brook and Lane, just a couple horses back there that can go all night, it seemed like.
They're both really good backs. Ryan Newman's also a good runner at the quarterback spot as well. And they're healthy, and that's the biggest thing, was we wanted to get in and out of here healthy, and we are, so we're excited about that.
Another week of practice now. How important is this playoff run for not just the end of this year, but for years to come, to help those younger guys get more practices, they get more reps, going against obviously a really good group of upperclassmen?
Well, it really is. And we're going into our 12th game this next week. And we play 8 regular season games, so we played another half a season here in the playoffs. So those are all good reps, and it's good for our kids, and it's just great to have the kids see what it's like to be in the playoffs and have the fan support and the following that we have from Creighton too. So it's exciting for all of us.
What's the message for the kids in practice this next week?
Well, we just got to stay focused and hopefully we'll work on our execution. We can always get better. There's some things special teams wise we need to work on a few things, but obviously we got to depend on who we play. It depends on what they do and stuff like that, but obviously it's going to be to prepare as well as we can and play the best game we can.
Congratulations on the win. Best of luck next week.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
All right, final count 72-32. The Creighton Bulldogs advance in the D1 playoffs over the High Plains Storm. Brook Bowler and Brandon Borgmann. Fellas, that was kind of fun here tonight. Now we're going to keep you shorter than you were for Strive U News. But, Brook, you go first. Your offensive line first half, you guys were chugging down the field all the night.
Rock solid. I tell those guys every game, it's just you get me a hole, I'll run through it. And we win. That's all it takes.
And there's a hole to run through, and then there's Luke to run behind. That's got to be nice, too.
Yes, there is. Lane. Yes, Lane, he's a truck, man. That kid, he'll knock anybody on their butt.
and Brandon, you got to get it done, obviously, on defense. What was the game plan coming into tonight? Obviously, they were down a few of their key pieces, but still, you guys were in their backfield as much as they were.
We knew they had a lot more plays than any other team we faced coming in, and they passed a lot. And so, I mean, when the quarterback went down, we knew that wasn't going to be they weren't going to pass that much. So, I mean, our front line did a really good job of getting in there. So, we had good pursuit too. So, yeah.
All right, guys. Next week of practice. It's still nice and cold, but it's still nice weather. It might snow tomorrow, though. Yeah. So this is what it means to be in December.
We got film tomorrow. We're not outside tomorrow. So
well, you'll be fine then.
Hey, as long as it's off the ground by about Thursday.
By Thursday?
Nice. Yeah, Thursday. As long as it's off the ground by Thursday, we'll be all right.
I love the crowd being all around here while we're doing this too, even. So this is fun. So find these guys next week. Creighton moving on in the D1 playoffs.
Thanks, Steve.
Again, a big thank you to Coach Suhr and, of course, to Brook Bowler and to Brandon Borgmann. Those guys had a lot of fun at our Strive U conference that we had here in Henderson earlier this fall, and got it done on the football field as well. Well, we're going to take another quick commercial break, but stay with us, though, because when we come back, we talk with McCook head coach Jeff Gross. That's coming up. Prep Huddle Live on StriveSports.com.
I love it. It's fun. It's a fun industry to be in. Meet lots of different people, do lots of different stuff. There's always something new happening,
So far, I've been enjoying it since I've been here. It's been great, learning new stuff every day. I recommend anyone coming and work here because so far the working environment's friendly, everyone's kind, and also the new guys that come here, they will gain the confidence that they need just to come and work.
I like how everybody around here is, we all kind of become real good friends. It's like a second family here. It's not something you would come to just work for a month or two. It's something you'll want to stick with forever.
Seedsmanship is what truly sets Channel Seed apart from other seed brands. It's our unmatched ability to provide you with the expert advice and customized service that helps you get the most yield out of your acres. It's the added value of year-round service combined with elite seed products that you only get from Channel Seed. At Channel, we know the importance of staying connected. As seed experts, we look to get the most out of your fields by putting ourselves in them throughout the season. That's seedsmanship at work.
Yeah, I get it. For the little things. Technology's great. It makes things easier. It's faster. We can get things done wherever we go. And we get all that from our bank. It works for us. But for the bigger things, the things that really count, I still want to talk to the people I know and trust. That's why I'm here.
We are in the home stretch of Prep Huddle Live here on StriveSports.com. Football has officially reached the semifinal stage of the season. 11-man teams take the field on Friday night, the 8-man teams on Monday, and of course the 6-man teams wrap up their state championship on Friday night as well. We'll talk more about that here in just a little bit. Of course, if you're the 11-man teams, you are awful close to having one eye on Lincoln and playing at Memorial Stadium. And joining us now on the Truck Center Company's hotline is McCook head coach Jeff Gross. First of all, Coach, thanks a lot for joining us here tonight, and it's got to be a great feeling to be playing at this part of the season. I want to ask you your general thoughts on the guys and how they've played in wins over Beatrice and then the big bus ride to Plattsmouth, how they've practiced and handled the 2 wins and now getting ready for a semifinal matchup.
Well, they're really excited to still be playing football. You know, they've my senior class this is their 3rd straight semifinal, so we've kind of had our eye on the prize for a long time this year, and took care of business in the regular season the best we could. You know, we lost to Aurora in that Week 5 showdown, but we came out standing on top of all of the rest of those, and we got into the playoffs and had to play a mud-infested game and found a way to win that against Beatrice. And then last week went on the road, and, man, we played so well up at Plattsmouth. Really felt like we played our best game. And the way we practiced really since after we played Hastings Week 8, going into our Week 9 district title game with Adams Central, we just kind of seem to be peaking at the right time. We're playing a little bit better football every day we get together at practice, every day we get together in the games. And so we're really excited about this opportunity for a rematch with Aurora, but more importantly for an opportunity to maybe advance another week and get one more week of free football.
Yeah, Coach, I'd like you to specifically, I guess, speak to the health of your football team. I know that you kind of you lost your quarterback Caleb Sheets, who I know you really like as a player and can run and throw both for you. And you had him out until I think it was Week 7. Can you talk about how your offense has played with him coming back and how you feel about just the overall health of your team going into this semifinal match?
Well, we're pretty healthy. You know, it's the 12th game of the season, so you're not without your bumps and bruises. And you know, we just started off with the bumps and bruises right away. We lost Caleb for 6 weeks to a broken jaw. We lost quite possibly our best 2-way lineman, Riley Loop, with the injured leg for 4 weeks, and so we were kind of on one leg. And then we lost our fullback in Week 3 against Scotts Bluff for the season, a kid named Cade Capel. He hasn't been back or won't be back, and so it just took us a while to overcome some of those things. But once Caleb came back, he made that first start against Hastings Week 8, and he threw for 240 yards in the first half of that ball game, and we just kind of clicked and haven't looked back since he got back up the field. Brett Bomba, one of our best, skill guys, didn't play, but he got hurt on the 3rd play of the game last week, but he's back practicing, and we expect him to be close to 100%, and so we've just kind of settled in, and the health of our team is strong, and we're playing good football right now.
Coach, I want you to just talk about, I know you've been at McCook since 1998, but a lot of people from around the state would tell you that if there's a place that you should go if you're a high school football fan to watch a football game, one of the top places they'll tell you is McCook, and then the atmosphere that you guys have, and and the community support that you have and everything that surrounds what you guys do on Friday nights. Can you speak to just kind of what your hometown home field advantage is, and then what it's like on Friday nights in McCook for your home games?
Well, you know, we like to believe it's just a community event. I mean, I think the biggest thing that I've, being here is the community comes out and supports us, and most games we're going to have anywhere from 2,000, 2,500 people, and in the bigger the games, you approach that 3,000 mark. I mean, our stadium fills up when we're playing a week 2 game against Sydney or Gehring, or whether it's in the semifinals. Our stadium fills, and on the road, our fans are diehards. Last week we go to Beatrice, and the stadium was packed, but it was probably about 40% McCook, even on the road. And so that's the following that we have, the fan base we have. We've been in this successful run, since year 2000. We've just been deep in the playoffs every year, and whether we're playing, in the Panhandle at Alliance or, like I said, in Plattsmouth, the people come out. What makes McCook so special at home is it's just a great environment. It's the old bowl style college stadium, sunken in. McCook Schools has always owned it, but the college, McCook Community College, had a long history of successful football back in the 50s and 60s, and had guys go in the NFL and major colleges, and so used to play Nebraska's freshmen every year. The place, they said, you couldn't even find a place to stand. It was so full, and that's just kind of carried over it since those years now to the Bison.
Coach, I want to ask you about the matchup now with Aurora. It seems like you guys, whether it's been a regular season game or it's been a postseason game, over the last, 15, 18 years, has seen so many important games come about. It has kind of created its own rivalry to a certain extent. But I think one of the next best things to think about it seems like it's such a respectful rivalry on both sides. Talk about what it means to be playing Aurora, whether it's in the regular season or here in the playoffs.
I'll never forget Randy Hubert and I standing at midfield in 2002, which was both of our first semifinal appearance. And the conversation went like, I think it was, Randy, it's an honor to be sharing this field with you, and win, lose, or draw, be happy as heck for either of us. That's the kind of relationship that Randy and I have had over the years, and that permeated to our assistants. And now that Kyle's running the show, that hasn't changed a bit. It was a little easy for us to really like Aurora in those first, 5-6 years we played them, and in those playoff games early on, because we kind of, quite frankly, had our way. And in 2008, they turned the tide on us, and were able to overcome, a pretty good Bison team, and found a way to knock us out in that semifinals. And they've kind of had their way with us ever since. And we've slipped in a win or two here and got them in the playoffs 2 years ago, which was a big stepping stone to get McCook back kind of into this run and getting into the semifinals. That was a quarterfinal match 2 years ago, but every game against us is so important. We've met in the playoffs so many times because we're still alive. When you look at, we played 3 times in the semis and 3 times in the quarters in the last 12 years. That's 6 playoff appearances deep in the playoffs in 12 years. That's because both teams are still alive.
And now we got to talk about the I think we could, Tony and I could sit on this phone and probably talk about this game for the next couple of hours. But we do have a little bit of a time schedule that we like to keep on the show. But, Coach, I want to ask you, I'm going to take away your cliches that turnovers are a huge factor in any game, and especially big games, and that special teams and big plays are a huge factor in big games like this. Outside of those 2 areas, is there one area or 2 areas of the game, maybe it's your offensive identity against their defense or vice versa, that you think is going to be maybe a deciding factor in how this game plays out Friday night?
For us against Aurora, one of the biggest deciding factors is third down conversion rates on both sides. When we've struggled to beat Aurora, we've had a heck of a time getting their offense off the field on third down. If they have a 3rd and 1, they weigh 290 up front. They pick up a yard. If they have a 3rd and 12, they've found a way, the last couple of years to get the ball to Honus for a 13-yard gain or a 20-yard gain. So for us, to me, a big thing in this game is turnovers are going to be a little bit. You can overcome a turnover. You can overcome a special teams thing, but you got to get that other team off the field on 3rd down. And I'm sure the Aurora coaches are saying the same thing with us. They don't want McCook to go on their prototypical 17-play drive and end up with points. We got to get each other off the field. And so, I think that the team that does that the best Friday night is going to have a massive advantage. And that's how we lost to them in that Week 5 showdown. They drove the length of the field on us in the very beginning. We got them on 4th and 10 from about the 18-yard line, and they score a touchdown on 4th and 10. And then the very next drive, we got them like 3rd and 8, and they have like a 19-yard pass play to Honus. So you got to get the other team off the field.
This will be a really good one, I think, coming up Friday night. That is McCook head coach Jeff Gross. Coach, thank you so much for the time, and best of luck to you and the Bison Friday night.
Hey, thanks a lot, guys.
All right, Tony, it is final time here as we get ready for the end of the show here. Just a few minutes left, and we want to go on to the picks, if you will. We want to start, though, in the 6-man ranks because we've got a state championship to talk about for Friday night. The 6-man game will be played in Kearney at Cope Stadium there at the University of Nebraska Kearney. 7 o'clock kickoff. It's Riverside against St. Edward. It's a rematch from a game earlier this season. It's, in fact, as far as the 6-man teams are concerned, it's a lot like last year where you had one team beat the other in the regular season and then get a rematch here in the championship. Last year, it was Riverside losing to Spalding Academy early and then winning the state championship, and now Riverside wins the regular season matchup against St. Ed, and now we'll have a chance to win again over St. Ed. So, Tony, I want to get a quick thought on this one because it's a fun time. 6-man gets to go, 2 schools that are so close amongst all of the 6-man schools. But here it is. It's time to go. Time to go play for a state championship on the big field.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're asking me for a pick, and I'm going to take Riverside. The one thing Riverside had going for them, I remember when we went up to their game with Deschler and did that as a game week, and I talked to Noah Velocic about how did they bounce back against Spalding Academy last year, and he said when St. Ed played them close, that gave them hope, and they made some changes. The thing you've got with Riverside this year, though, is nobody's played them close, and I think they're really focused, and I think Coach Imus just does a heck of a job. This will be a good one. I expect it to be maybe a little bit closer than the last game they played. I'm going to say it's a low 60s to high 30s kind of football game. It should be a fun one in Kearney on Friday night.
I think so too. I think the Velociraptor will show out in full force there. I got Riverside winning that one too. Let's move our attention now to the 8-man ranks. Their semifinals, like we said, will come up on Monday, but we won't have a show again before then. So we can go ahead and talk about the D2 matchups first. Chambers Wheeler Central will be playing at home against Sandhills Thedford. Chambers is still undefeated. Sandhills Thedford just has the one loss on the year, and I believe they avenged that. That was to Garden County in the regular season. They win that rematch here in the playoffs, 49-14. CWC though, Tony, in that West bracket looks awful good in Class D2.
Yeah, you look at CWC, and they're undefeated and have beat Humphrey St. Francis, who's in the other side of the semifinal there. Humphrey St. Francis beat Wynot. That's Wynot's only loss. So you've kind of got a pecking order there as far as if you look at the teams. I'm going to take CWC. Nothing has shown me that anybody really is ready to beat them quite yet in Class D2. And then on the other side, I'm actually going to take Wynot with the home field and the revenge factor game. They lost 24-20 in Week 2 to Humphrey St. Francis, but that game was in Humphrey, so Wynot gets them on their home field, and we're going to take the Blue Devils against the Renegades in the D2 final.
I am going to agree with you on CWC, but I am going to take Kyle Wemhoff and however many carries it takes for the Flyers to get back to Lincoln because he had 47 carries last night, 235 yards, something, and as far as that goes. He wasn't prepared for that. It sounded like he was, and both he and his coach were surprised after the game that, wow, that was a lot of carries. But you got to do what you got to do, right?
Yeah, Eric Kessler is not afraid to run him. You know, again, we watched them play against Osceola, and boy, how about Osceola? They had 2 losses all year. Both of them are to St. Francis, and I think Wimhoff had, I believe, I want to say it was 31 or 32 carries in that game, and Kessler was surprised then too. And you know, Wimhoff, it's not like he's it's not like he's J.J. Oltmer, who was their stud back last year that goes, 6 foot, 215. Wimhoff's more a 5'10", 165 guy, but they kind of do the same thing. They just kind of pound it at you. They block really well. That will be a good one, and why not? That will be a fun game to watch, and I think that'll be a game that if one of the teams can get to 30, they'll feel pretty good about themselves.
Let's go to Class D1, and out west you've got Burwell. And now my internet froze. Oh, there it is. Clearwater Orchard. That game will be in Burwell. It's a 5 o'clock kickoff. And, of course, Burwell with their quarterback, Victory Sykes. Hard to pick against Victory, right?
Yeah, I think so. The thing with Clearwater Orchard, they were a 3-loss team in the regular season, but 9 seniors. They've got big Andy Kirkman, I believe, plays kind of tight end receiver for them. He's going to play basketball in Augustana, who's number 1 in Division II right now. They've got a bunch of good players up there, and this will be an interesting game, but I'm with you. I'm not going to pick against any team that has a quarterback named Victory.
Yeah, and then, of course, in the east side, you've got BDS at home against Creighton, 2 undefeated teams. The game will be played in Shickley, and we understand that's going to be a 3 o'clock kickoff in the afternoon. Creighton looked really, really good. Yeah, High Plains had some key guys out with injuries, but boy, Creighton and BDS here again, first team to 30 will feel really good, I think, about their chances.
I could not agree more, and I think BDS. They've got that chip on their shoulder, and I'm always curious to watch the next team after the team that was really good. I remember Utah making it to the Final Four one year the year after Keith Van Horn left, and so I look at this BDS team and they feel a little like one of those teams who they didn't have all their pieces coming back, but they had a nice core of players and they were really motivated. I'm going to take BDS, but this one's really, really close. I feel like a 34-28, 36-30 kind of football game, and it could come down to 2-point conversions.
Absolutely. Let's go to C2 now. We've got Battle Creek on the top half of the bracket, undefeated, the number 1 seed. They take on Oakland Craig, who's the 5 seed, but just 1 loss on their season. That game will be in Oakland, not California, Oakland, Nebraska, at 7 o'clock coming up this Friday night. Of course, the 11-man games on Friday night. So Battle Creek and Oakland Craig, who do you like there?
Well, it's a rematch. Battle Creek beat Oakland Craig in the regular season, and I'm going to stick with Battle Creek. I think they've got just enough horses to pull this one out. But I believe Oakland Craig is hard to pick against the good names. I believe their tailback, or one of their running backs' name is Hoss Smith. I don't know. That might be Hoss.
Smith.
Yep.
I tell you what, if you put Victory at quarterback and Hoss at running back, I don't know that you'd lose a game ever. The bottom half of the bracket, though, you would talk about 2 teams that have been in the playoffs like every year ever since football was created, it seems like. David City Aquinas Catholic, Hastings St. Cecilia. That's at Duncan Field, 7 o'clock Friday night.
Yeah, and I'm going with David City Aquinas in this one. St. Cecilia is a little beat up. I don't even know if they won't have one of their backs. They won't have one of their backs in Hunter Fisher, who broke his collarbone against UTAN. And Dayton Seeley has been kind of banged up all year. Aquinas only losses to C1 Columbus SCOTUS, who we'll probably talk about next. And I'm just going to go with Aquinas. I think they might actually even, win this by 3 touchdowns, Duncan Field.
I would agree with that. And so then we move on to C1. And yes, that next team is Columbus SCOTUS. They play host to Wilbur Claytonia. Wilbur's the 4 seed, so seeding-wise, they're right where they should be. But is it a little surprise to see Wilbur be able to make this type of run this year, Tony? Now they get Columbus SCOTUS, and I tell you, an offense that just comes at you in so many different ways, and a defense that just hasn't relinquished much here in the playoffs.
Yeah, I would tell you that very much so. I'm not overly surprised at the Wilbur Claytonia run. I think maybe they are maybe a little bit. They beat obviously two very, very good teams at Boone Central, Newman Grove, defending champion, and then also Central City, who just had one of their best seasons in like 25 years. And so I thought that game would be close last week. You were there. When you've got a special player and he's playing at a high level, those are the fun times. And Connor O'Toole's playing at a really high level for the Wolverines right now. And it's going to be a tough battle against Columbus SCOTUS. So we actually saw them play, as you said earlier, Central City early in the year, and they've got just a load of seniors, and they come at you with that double wing, and it's going to be a tough sledding for Wilbur Claytonia. I think they've got a good enough defense that they can keep it close. And the longer they can keep it close, the better chance they have. But I see SCOTUS winning this, in that 28-7, 28-14 type range.
Yeah, I will say the key match there will be if SCOTUS can throw it as good as they did against Central City that I saw them earlier this year. I think Wilbur can give them a good match, running game for running game. I think SCOTUS, if they are able to pass just enough, like we saw them against Central City, I think that's what will make SCOTUS very much dangerous. Then the bottom half of the bracket, you've got the 3 seed and the 2 seed. Boys Town, their win last week over Holdridge, 34-20. Norfolk Catholic is the 2 seed. They're coming off a win over Bishop Neumann, 42-21. That game is in Norfolk at Veterans Memorial Field at 6 o'clock Friday night.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk much on this one because I can't pick against Norfolk Catholic in this game. I think they've got all the tools again. They lost to Boone Central Newman Grove in the quarterfinals last year, were the toughest game that the Cardinals had in route to the state championship. I think they've got a focused crew, and I think they'll be the team that plays Columbus SCOTUS, and that one will be fantastic in the finals in Class C1.
Yeah, I'm probably going to that one anyway just to watch, right? Then in Class B, I'll say it, my favorite class to watch as it has developed throughout the year. Top half of the bracket, the game we featured already here tonight. We will again on Friday Night Spotlight. Aurora at McCook, 7 o'clock kickoff. I don't even know if we want to make a pick in this one because I think both teams are going to be fantastic in it.
Gosh, I know. Don't make me pick this one. Like, can it be 7 overtimes and 49-49, and I don't know, maybe they pick an all-star team that goes to play in the state final. But I really like Aurora's line in this one to be able to control the game just long enough for them to take control of it in the second half. So I'm gonna lean Aurora. It's not going to be 26-7 like the last game was. If the weather holds, which I think is supposed to be a fairly nice night, I think this is going to be a 28-24 kind of game, and I expect a really good one in McCook on Friday night.
I wholeheartedly agree. X factor is McCook's quarterback Caleb Sheets. If he can find some rhythm, and I think that will be key. There's like we just heard Coach Gross say, you can kind of overcome a big play here or there, but rhythm is tough to stop. Bottom half of that B bracket, Elkhorn South and Omaha Skutt. That's at Skutt. Both these teams are just really, really good. Skutt's only lost in the regular season to Elkhorn South.
Yeah, and I'm going to take Skutt to get revenge in this game. Coach Matt Turman has just done a whale of a job at Skutt, and they've won, I believe, they won the last 2 Class B state championships. Yeah, they beat York in 2013, and they beat Elkhorn last year. And so I'm going to take Omaha Skutt to win this one close. Moses Bryant's going to have another big game, but I think Skutt just makes enough plays to get this one done.
I do too. I like Skutt in a playoff type format, in that sense of urgency. I like Skutt in there. And then in Class A, boy, there's some really intriguing storylines in Class A. You've got Bellevue West and Millard North. You get a doubleheader at Buell Stadium. I think with the research that you've done, first time one stadium has hosted 2 semifinals ever on the same day. Is that right?
Yep, absolutely. The first time it's ever happened in Class A in the semifinals there, both be at Buell Stadium. Millard North and Millard West. Just because I like the good story, I'm going to go Bellevue West and Millard West because they're both undefeated, and couldn't even tell you the last time we've had 2 undefeated teams play for a Class A state title, so that would be kind of a neat deal. Bellevue West got Millard North 35-28. I believe that was in Week 7. And, of course, the talented quarterback, Jaden Kowalski. Jalen Bradley, the tailback, is a special player. And then Cade Johnson, the son of Cluster Johnson, at wide receiver. They've got a lot of athletes over at Bellevue West. And then this Millard West Omaha North game is going to be something else. Of course, you guys were there. It's a 21-19 game, week 1. I think it's going to be that kind of game again. And Omaha North is built for these kind of cold weather, beat you, pound you kind of games, and it'll be interesting to see if the Millard West defense can hold up, and then if their line can control the game offensively, and Logan Anderjaska, Luke Wallman, and Shea Wyatt can make enough big plays to get Millard West to win. I like Millard West in this one, and hopefully 2 undefeated for that Class A title. I
agree on both. I've been enamored with watching Millard West's defense throughout the year. They've been so good. And offensively, Anderjaska's somewhere in the top 10 of passing for Class A, but you don't see individual rushers. You don't see individual receivers. You see really well-rounded offensive numbers. But then you look at the number 1 offense by yards and number 1 defense by yards, and there it is at Millard West. So I think that'll be very interesting. Tony, I think that's what we've got for the show here tonight. We've run a little bit past our time, so we should say good night. But final thoughts as we get ready for state volleyball, which comes up tomorrow.
Well, again, it's going to be awesome. I'm really excited what we're going to be able to do with the NSAA, with the NFHS network. We'll be able to stream the semifinal games. It's going to be a busy Friday for us, and thank you to our wives who put up with us and our children who miss us for a while. But it's going to be a fun weekend and a fun Monday, and then we can get a little bit of break before the state football finals come in, and then we can rest with some turkey and ham on Thanksgiving. And ham loaf, right? Yes. That's what I'm looking forward to. Thanks again to our sponsors, Cornerstone Bank, Truck Center Companies, Dickey's Barbecue in York, and Channel Seed, making this show possible on a Wednesday night. That's going to do it for Prep Huddle Live on StriveSports.com. Thanks for joining us, and best of luck to all the teams wherever you might be playing yet this weekend. Home-cooked favorites and online ordering so you can skip the line. That's what you'll find at Dickey's Barbecue in York. Log on to Dickeys.com, select the York address, sign in, or create a profile, and you'll be ordering delicious barbecue in just seconds. Choose from a variety of meats like brisket, pulled pork, chicken breast, or sausage. Add a home-style side like waffle iron fries, fried onion tanglers, barbecue beans, and even fried okra. You won't go away hungry. Try Dickey's Barbecue today and log on to Dickeys.com. Kids eat free on Sunday.
Yeah, I get it. For the little things. Technology's great. It makes things easier. It's faster. We can get things done wherever we go. And we get all that from our bank. It works for us. But for the bigger things, the things that really count, I still want to talk to the people I know and trust. That's why I'm here.
Seedsmanship is what truly sets Channel Seed apart from other seed brands. It's our unmatched ability to provide you with the expert advice and customized service that helps you get the most yield out of your acres. It's the added value of year-round service combined with elite seed products that you only get from Channel Seed. At Channel, we know the importance of staying connected. As seed experts, we look to get the most out of your fields by putting ourselves in them throughout the season. That's seedsmanship at work.
I never really imagined that I would be a diesel technician. I started out in a whole different other field and then kind of worked my way and stumbled my way into it, and I enjoy every day of it.
The people that I work with are great. Even if you're having a bad day, you know, they find some way to try to make you laugh or smile to try to brighten your day up. It'll be a life-changing opportunity. So there's a lot of good things that this company has to offer.